Rebecca Ryan here. It is Joan G said I should start to mention the date at the beginning of every Futures Friday Live. So this one's for you, Joan G. It is Friday, May 15th, middle of May. We are 5.5 months in, y'all. Is this shaping up to be a great year? Yes or no? My sister and I have this rule that like we never use Marco Polo as a mirror, but I can that little see, my hair's getting long. That's how you know the curls start coming out. Anyway, Rebecca Ryan, May 15th. Welcome to Futures Friday. So there's kind of an AI, a tech theme to today's Futures Friday. But as you know, we always start with a merci, with a shout out to someone whom we want to thank. And this week, my thank you is to Bruce Plummer. Bruce Plummer, when I met him 20 years ago, he was the director of learning at the Tennessee Bankers Association. So he was responsible for all of the events. I don't know that he did the annual conference, but like all of the training that the Tennessee Bankers provided to its bankers and members, that was Bruce's job. He's the first person outside of the state I was living in who hired me. So that felt like a really big deal, like going out of state to go work in another state to go speak at this conference. And the reason I'm giving Bruce Plummer a shout out is because he became a mentor and in some ways a father figure to me over the ensuing years. So I remember after about a year in business, I said to Bruce, "What advice do you have for me? Like, how can I improve my business?" And he goes, "Rebecca, you need to get a toll-free telephone number because I don't want to have to pay long distance every time I call you up." And so it's a full circle moment because we still have that toll-free telephone number and you have about 1 month left to call it. The number is 888-922-9596 because we're getting rid of it because we don't get calls through a toll-free number anymore. So Bruce gave me a bunch of great advice over the course of the time that I knew him. And he called me out of the blue a few weeks ago, and we had a proper catch up. And so I want to thank Bruce Plummer today because I don't think this futurist would be sitting where she is right now if Bruce hadn't not only given me a chance and hired me back again and again for the Tennessee Bankers, but also given me darn good advice along the way, both professional and personal. So, Bruce Plummer, I love you, man. I love your whole family. It's so good to be back in touch. All right. Next thing is signal. What is the signal this week? Well, on the signals and sense making panel, and for Marjorie and I think Karen and a few others who have said you want to join the panel, you are absolutely welcome to join the panel. I promise I will get you the information, but I'm going to be away for a couple weeks out of the country. I won't be on the panel, and I really like to be there when newbies come in so that I can introduce and kind of do proper introductions. So you are invited to the panel. Any of you are invited to my Signals and Sense Making panel Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Central. Anytime, just drop me a note, rr@RebeccaRyan.com, or call that toll-free telephone number through July 1st, or just send me a note on Substack, and I will get you the instructions. But I think it's a safe bet to say it'll be early June before I'm going to be having sort of an open enrollment again for our Signals panel. But what I wanted to mention is that, even on our signals panel, every week when we bring a weak signal of the future, sometimes we bring, I call them N of one. Like it's one thing that happened to one of us, but made us kind of cock our head to the side and say, really now? What's that? And something happened this week, not to me, but to my wife. And it was new. It was definitely new for her, and I don't think this has ever happened to me. She called her dental office to reschedule a dental appointment, and an AI bot answered the call. And Lauren said it was really easy to reschedule. The bot looked. Lauren thought she had an appointment on a day when she wasn't going to be in town. And the bot said, "Oh, actually, we have you down for 2 appointments." And Lauren's like, "Oh my God, I only had one in my calendar." So, and then the bot was able to cancel both of those. And they were able to quickly find another date that worked. And Lauren was surprised. I could tell when she was telling me this that she was a little bit surprised by how well it had gone and how easy it was. And those seem like the kind of tasks that AI might be great at, because I don't know how many of you have ever been sucked into a scheduling rodeo. Hand to God, uh, my poor friend Jason, he has had to reschedule lunch with me at least 6 times over the last few weeks just because of how fast schedules work. And man, I would love to not bother him with that. I would love to just be able to tell his bot, like, hey, sorry, when's the next available for Jason because I have to flake out again. So, what are you noticing about where AI is showing up? I know we all have like our horror stories or what we hate about AI. And this is very natural. Whenever there's a new technology, people tend to poo poo it or get down on it or be skeptical of it. It happened with the internet. Um, it happens with other technologies. So I know that there are like horror stories out there, and that's what we tend to focus on. But how many of you have been delighted by something in AI? Like, I wonder if any of you are using Superhuman AI or Motion to like streamline your email. Like, email is the bane of my existence. I love everybody I get emails from, but it's like the only technology where everybody can put something on my to-do list without ever asking for my permission to do it. So it's just email's tough for me. So Superhuman Emotion are two of the big companies in that space. And then I've learned that like in the retail space, AI is being used so widely. So there are at least two sensors that are being used to, for example, measure the ripeness of an avocado, right? To be able to say, is it moist? Is it dry? Is it firm? Is it mushy? And then you know how long you can keep these avocados in rotation. And as a person who just enjoyed a piece of avocado toast for breakfast this morning, I hate it when an avocado goes bad. I want that app on my phone to say, eat me now. So AI is all around us. And the signal from this week is voice activated AI that actually helped with a scheduling issue. Now it's time for the mailbag when I ask a listener's question. Um, the question that I'm getting a lot these days is what my view is on AI. And basically I feel like people are sort of asking like, are you optimistic about AI or are you pessimistic about AI? And the answer is yes. The reason I'm pessimistic about AI is because oftentimes we don't know how bad something is for us until it's too late. And I feel like that has certainly been the case with social media and our kids. So I don't think we yet know how bad AI is going to be for many use cases until the damage has already been done. And so there is a margin of regret that we will all be facing with AI. And in that way, I don't want to say I'm pessimistic, but I'm bracing myself. But I'm really optimistic because of what I see around me, which is very smart people using AI in unexpected and safe ways to try to do things faster or with far better results, and not in a way that is, you know, killing jobs, but is in a way that is making them more effective in their work. Yesterday, my colleague David and I met with a chief technology officer who is very pro AI, very pro efficiency. And she leads an organization with 2,100 employees. And she said, listen, everybody in my organization wants to be using AI. There are a lot of use cases out there. And she said, the VP group is a bit skeptical about AI and is like, oh, is this going to threaten jobs? And she asked them, and I think this is such a clever reframe. She said, how many of you have things on your work list, your task list, that you just never get to but are very important? Mm, many. So, what if AI could help you with the things that are not, high value? Our time sucks. I mentioned the scheduling thing a moment ago, but could really help you do your job better and get to the things that you know are important, but just get left to the or in some cases, the 51st or 61st hour. And I think that's kind of an interesting way to think about the optimism of this. And we know that, these large language models and agentic AIs are very good at things that have clearly defined boundaries. So I think there are really powerful use cases for some of these things where there will be lower error than humans. And when the stakes are high, we should all be welcoming that. And the example I just come back to again and again is protein folding. You know, having misfolded proteins is the cause of some intractable and gruesome illnesses. And the fact that AI has figured out how protein folding really works, um, that's good stuff. So there'll be some good, there'll be some bad. Overall, I was sort of born glass half full, so I think I'm an AI optimist, but there will be a margin of regret on this technology, like there have been with every other technology. So next is what's on my desk. And I didn't even try to tidy, you guys. I'm going to show you what's on my desk. Am I? Yes, I am. This is my little credenza. Yep. That's 4 sets of AirPods. Some work for some uses and some don't. Farsight magazine, some of you know the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies, CIFS, does Farsight magazine. This is my knit cap. I was wearing it right before we got on. This is my moss ball terrarium. These little moss balls are going to last 200 years. And so every day I give them a shake. And I think as a futurist, it's important to have things around you that are going to live far beyond you. And then, you guys, my desk is clean. Why? Because earlier this week, I had a 1 hour power hour where I just processed all these meeting notes and things that had just backed up. And I feel chef's kiss. Gretchen Rubin, the happiness bully, says that outer order creates inner calm. And she uses this example of a friend who like cleaned her refrigerator or the cheese drawer in her refrigerator and said, now I can finish my PhD. And isn't that true? I mean, it's definitely true for me that when I feel calm in my space, I feel like anything is possible. So it's a good day to be together on this Futures Friday. The final thing is a try this at home, And I'm just going to draft. Has nothing to do with futures. It has nothing to do with futures, except that sometimes having time for more long form thinking, like the kind of thinking we do in futures, gets pushed to the margin. And the things that get our attention are like the do, 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 the squirrels that we see everywhere. So I would encourage you, if you are feeling messy in a part of your life, messy to the point where like you can't have a long form thought, what would happen if you did a power hour in that area of mess? Maybe it's your personal finances. You need to balance your checkbook, or I know that sounds a little old school. Maybe you just have a lot of digital clutter. Maybe your desktop on your computer is terrible, or maybe you've got way too many apps on your phone. And for me, it was my physical space. So, what could you do in a power hour to clean or tidy one space of your life so that you could just feel like you had a broader margin to your imagination, so that you could have the time and the mental space to think more clearly or long form about the future? That's it for me this Friday. I'm taking the next couple of Fridays off because I'm going to be overseas on a bucket list trip with my wife, but I will be back the first Friday in June. Take good care of each other, and here's to the future.